The culinary arts, that is to say, the activity of preparing comestibles via the application of heat, is indeed a source of considerable amusement. Culinary arts are a fount of considerable amusement. At this juncture, the appropriate course of action is to cease our labors temporarily and to contemplate, with a degree of self-satisfaction, the fruits of our efforts, to scrutinize the consequences and the achievements of our meticulous action so far. The culminating achievement of our undertaking is ready for presentation. Culinary arts remains a source of amusement, indeed a delightful exercise, a fount of considerable amusement. It is now the opportune moment to take a short respite, suspend our endeavors, and scrutinize the progress and the fruits of our efforts. It is at the point of readiness. A momentary pause, however, is required. The very task upon which we were engaged, that precise endeavor was not, in truth, the practice of culinary art, was it? Indubitably not. A sentiment of mirthful satisfaction arises within me. The culinary arts, it remains a source of considerable amusement, a source of amusement. Now, it is the auspicious moment to enjoy a reprieve, suspend our endeavors momentarily, and to reflect, with perhaps a touch of justifiable pride, on the accomplishments of our recent endeavors, to scrutinize the consequences of our work. It has reached the peak of readiness. The culinary arts are a source of amusement, certainly a very delightful and welcome exercise, such a pleasant pursuit, and indeed it brings joy to my soul. Now, it is time to take a reprieve, suspend our endeavors, and to reflect, with satisfaction, and contemplate on the achievements of our recent endeavors. It approaches the apogee of readiness. This particular endeavor, this specific instance, has met with pronounced success, a triumphant outcome. So we convene in a collective seating arrangement, to assemble in one location to all partake together, but... No, arrest your movements. A temporization is obligatory. We must hold back. Under no circumstances, on absolutely no account, should one consume the dish at this specific juncture. You are forbidden from its consumption. Greetings. I, myself, unknown, identified, and addressed as Tomo Takino. In the arena, the sphere, the very realm of possessing an exuberance, of vivacity, an elevated and animated state of being described as hyper, I shall, without a shadow of a doubt, vanquish, triumph over, and utterly defeat any and all contenders, absolutely, positively, without question, hands down. I am the wildcat, the feral feline, the untamed and spirited young lady, a student of scholastic pursuits at the upper secondary institution, most commonly referred to as high school. Salutations to each and every one of you present at this current temporal juncture, which we refer to as morning. Heavens to Betsy, is that Yukari occupying this location at such an early hour? Alas, I find myself in a state of tardiness, most egregious indeed. By way of retribution, I shall voluntarily sequester myself within the confines of this corridor, away from the primary locus of scholastic endeavor. Farewell until our paths reconverge. I possess neither the capacity nor the inclination, you comprehend, to engage in any scintilla of attentiveness pertaining to the subject matter at hand. Ha ha ha. I have, for an extended duration, harbored aspirations of affording this particular endeavor an attempt, a trial, a foray into the unknown. Oh, indeed, on account of, lo and behold, let us confront reality with candor and forthrightness. The prevailing societal norms dictate that one is not, with any modicum of frequency, dispatched into the corridors, those hallowed halls of passageway, in these modern times. Verily, Tomo, let us endeavor to inscribe upon the annals of history a novel, an unprecedented achievement, thereby engendering astonishment and bewilderment among the populace. Ha ha ha. A fragment of confectionery, a trifling confection, a task of negligible complexity. Oh, esteemed sir. Premature, too early, prior to the designated moment. Oh, I perceive the sensations, the tangible repercussions. This, in actuality, transcends the boundaries of mere consequence, ascending to the realm of authentic retribution, a disciplinary measure of considerable magnitude. I solemnly vow, under no circumstances shall I succumb to defeat in this present contest. Hail, female sibling, your aesthetic presentation is most pleasing to the ocular senses. Greetings, person of unspecified designation. What appellation do you claim as your identifying moniker? Oh, you have indeed affected my person with a successful maneuver. Confounded by circumstance, I shall exact vengeance upon your person for this transgression. H2O, in its myriad forms, pervades the entirety of the surrounding environment. An antiquated segment of textile, an absorbent cloth, an object of indeterminate classification, someone, a person of unspecified identity. Miss Yukari, I implore you, render assistance to my person. Ah, what a vociferous, unrestrained young lady. Affirmative, madam, a honorific title denoting respect. I, Ayumu Kazuga, a designation by which I am known, originate, that is to say, hail from the fair city of Osaka, a prominent urban center in the land of the rising sun. It affords me considerable gratification, a state of contentment, to be formally introduced, a ceremonial presentation, to each and every one of you, the esteemed members of this gathering. Negative, a declination of a prior stated fact, repeated fourfold for emphasis. Your solicitousness, indicative of your thoughtful attention in endeavoring an earnest attempt to emulate our vernacular, the manner of spoken language, is indeed most appreciated. However, you may, without any reservation, express, to give utterance, the alternative phrase, darn pleased Tamicha, a colloquial expression, and indeed, a rather less formal mode of address. Furthermore, even within the boundaries of Osaka, a delimited region, I find myself in a state of hesitancy, a pause for reflection. Proceed forth. An entreaty to encourage action. A vocalized pause indicative of contemplation. Darn pleased Tamicha. A further attempt at colloquialism. Y'all. A contraction of you all signifying a collective number of individuals. Pray, inform me as to the veracity, the factual accuracy of this postulation and assertion. Does the populace of Osaka, individual members of the community, traverse across thoroughfares, pathways typically designated for the purpose of movement, defying the mandate of illuminated signals, devices intended for purposes of signal and traffic, when those signals display the color red connoting prohibition? I find myself in a state of uncertainty, a deficit of empirical knowledge. I profess to not possess such inclination. For I possess a disinclination, a certain aversion, towards areas densely populated, environments characterized by an overabundance of individuals. It must be acknowledged, a declaration of irrefutable fact, that your persona diverges markedly from the archetypal Ozakan, the typical citizen of Osaka, Kazuga. I had anticipations, predicated on conjecture, of encountering an individual possessing boisterousness, an elevated level of energy. However, it is not the case that all Ozakans, the entire demographic hailing from Osaka, possess an abundance of rowdiness, to be characterized by loud and disruptive demeanor. Ah! Evocative utterance of sudden recognition, imposter! A title reserved for one who does not belong, nor is welcome. Imposter? Am I being thusly addressed, being denominated as an individual assuming a false identity? You purport that I am exhibiting qualities which do not reflect those expected, a fabricated persona. Then produce for my examination a visual inspection of the receptacle containing your midday repast. For it has been stated since archaic measure that the proof lies inherent within the consumable concoction, such as a pudding, or, as it pertains to the denizens of Osaka, individuals recognized by their origins, that of deep, fried octopus balls, always being contained within said container. I must confess that owing to my origins, that being from Osaka, what does this mean? What is the problem here? An indicator of surprise or confusion. Hey, I pose thee an inquiry regarding its veracity, and for what reason is it so? All right. Osaka, might I inquire as to the precise nature of your current undertaking, the task or action upon which you are presently engaged? Are you, perhaps, cognizant of those minuscule, almost imperceptible, vesicles or spherules, those diminutive globes contained within the ocular or visual organs? Specifically, the eyes? That one occasionally, or at infrequent intervals, happens to see or observe? Indeed, I am endeavoring, at this very moment, to meticulously trace, pursue and locate their whereabouts with the utmost diligence, to ascertain or discover their position with precision. Ah, I perceive or comprehend. I extend to you my felicitations and best wishes for an auspicious and triumphant outcome in this rather unusual and specific undertaking. Indeed, thank you. I express my gratitude, recognizing the worth of your consideration. An inquisitive inquiry. Respected Mr. Kimura, might one dare to inquire into the rationale, the underlying motivations, and the precise sequence of events which precipitated, instigated, and ultimately culminated in your momentous, and arguably quite significant, determination, choice, and carefully considered resolution to embrace, espouse, and ultimately embody the esteemed, venerable, and profoundly impactful vocation, calling, and professional capacity of a pedagogue, instructor, and didactical practitioner within the hallowed, revered, and intellectually stimulating halls, corridors, and academic environments of a secondary educational institution, specifically a high school. To elucidate with utmost candor, transparency, and unvarnished truth, it arises fundamentally, intrinsically, and indubitably from a predilection, fondness, and perhaps even a certain inclination towards, though strictly within the bounds of professional and ethical propriety, the female adolescents, losses, and young women who constitute the demographic cohort and student body populating, inhabiting, and actively participating in the aforementioned educational establishment that, in essence, is the definitive, irrefutable, and unequivocally articulated explanation. I do harbor a most profound aspiration that the subsequent diurnal period, or what is commonly referred to as tomorrow, shall manifest itself with crystalline lucidity, that is, with impeccable visibility and atmospheric transparency. I shall endeavor to install, or rather, erect, a figurine, specifically a tellweather doll, an effigy, designed to prognosticate meteorological conditions, as a talisman or an object, believed to confer propitious fortune. Nay, to elevate the matter, I shall instigate some action, or commence some undertaking, in this very instant, without delay. What is this, I inquire? Permit me to peruse, or meticulously examine, the lateral aspect, specifically which side of my personal corporeal structure, that being mine, is currently oriented towards. Ah yes, in such a manner, utilizing this peculiar method, we shall possess the means to anticipate, or predetermine with a degree of accuracy, the impending atmospheric phenomena, which we colloquially term the weather there. For what veritable enterprise are you presently engaged in aerial locomotion? Querying the purpose of current flight. I find myself in the 10th year of my terrestrial existence. Stating one's chronological age. Would you, perchance, derive pleasure from the hitherto unexperienced act of volant navigation, esteemed Miss Osaka? Offering the exhilarating experience of flight. Pray, elucidate. Is it your assertion that I possess the capability of atmospheric traversal? Expressing incredulity and seeking clarification regarding the ability to fly, I shall most gratuitously proffer these objects to your person, without monetary compensation of any kind, generously offering items at no cost. I say, here they are, presented to you forthwith. Offering them again. Thus, may I partake in the wondrous miracle of unencumbered levitation utilizing these aforementioned articles? Questioning the prospect of free flight with the offered items. Indubitably, to what extent your desires dictate. Confirming the boundless distance of potential flight. What is the meaning of that expressive verbal utterance? Expressing surprise and questioning the statement again. Come now! Without doubt, that mode of expression shall bestow upon your person a countenance of remarkable visual appeal, encouraging the recipient by implying that a certain action would look good. That is the articulation of my own individual feeling on the topic at hand. Is it to be inferred that you harbor no inclination towards the acceptance and utilization of these exceedingly coveted objects? Expressing confusion and implying that they don't want something. Are you not aware that such items enjoy immense admiration from the general populace? Stating that things are popular. Indeed, what could possibly be the underlying motivation propelling her apparent reticence? Questioning someone's actions. What is that articulation of speech trying to convey, please? Questioning someone's action again. That is absolutely the extent of this action being portrayed. Stating that is it. Chiyo-chan is a victim made to be under the influence by their bewitching essence. Warning people about Chiyo's well-being. The aforementioned appendages, designated as pigtails, giving context to the following words. Adhering resolutely to the designated trajectory aligned toward extrality. Moving an object to the upper areas of the right. Attaining a posture mirroring its analog, oriented sinistrally. Moving an object to the upper areas of the left. Initiate duration. Spin object away from the speaker. Assume a configuration denoting punctilious conformity. Issuing an order for the persona to adopt the position of sharp attention. Oh. Expressing shockfulness. Kindly maintain your present postulation, Chiyo-chan. I am expeditiously en route towards your rescue. Offering help and stating, wait, I am coming to save you. Ah. Denoting a small outburst of sound. I extend my sincerest apologies, Chiyo-chan. Apologizing to Chiyo-chan. The aforementioned fibrous appendages, situated caudally upon her cerebrum, were not detached with sufficient precision. Giving an explanation for something. It is inefficacious. Stating, it's no good. It must be an urgent inclination to remove myself and fly beyond the present location as swift as possible. Alas, in remembrance as a matter of fact, in what you might call forgetting, I dare say I shall bestow upon you a competition for your monetary funds any day of the week. You as well, Osaka, or should I say, the esteemed young lady from Osaka? Job well executed, may I add. Halt, I command thee, right in that very spot. We simply cannot permit such a travesty such as you undergoing a lapse in remembrance concerning my most esteemed self. Can we now? Heavens, even the esteemed Kagura, too. Thus, it is as such that the situation currently lies, as a point of fact. Now I implore you with utmost respect, extend your most loving and charitable help unto the collective of us three individuals. Take my own self, for an example. I undergone a lapse in remembrance regarding the scope, the parameters, or the boundaries of all the academic evaluations, in absolutely every single subject, millimeters HM. Heavens to Betsy, the most utter buffoon, isn't she? Oh, yes, furthermore, incidentally, whilst we're on the subject. When precisely are these academic evaluations due to commence once again? Heavens, you've even undergone a lapse in remembrance of the schedule, the itinerary, the sequence of events, the program. Oh, goodness me, one cannot say she is deemed the great queen, empress, or sovereign of forgetfulness for absolutely nothing. I implore you to reconsider your presumptions, for it is with vehement, characterized by forcefulness of expression or intensity of emotion, impassioned, nay, infernal, relating to or characteristic of hell or the underworld, diabolical, resistance that I shall provide discourse, written or spoken communication or debate, unto such individuals, a single human being as distinct from a group, class, or family of diminished cerebral, relating to the cerebrum or the brain, capacity, such as yourselves. Knaves. Misguided simpletons. What, pray tell, an archaic phrase meaning please tell? Ahem. I say. Why doth archaic third person singular present of you, thou, archaic or dialect form of you, used in singular address, and I cohorts, an armed and or retinue, feign, pretend to be affected by a feeling, state, or injury, such a profound, very great or intense sense, a faculty, by which external or internal stimuli are received and recognized, of sang-froid, composure or coolness, sometimes excessive, as shown in danger or under trying circumstances. Eh? Come now, you race, prepare someone or something for something difficult or unpleasant, of esteemed, respected and admired. Colleagues, a person with whom one works, typically in a profession or business, deign, do something that one considers to be below one's dignity, to offer a riposte, a quick, clever reply to an insult or criticism. HMM? Muttonhead, a dull or stupid person. Muttonheads, plural of a dull or stupid person. Oh dear me, an expression of surprise, dismay, or concern. To whom art thou ascribing, attribute something to, a cause, such a derogatory, showing a critical or disrespectful attitude, appellation, a name or title? Very well, then. If thou insist, Demand something forcefully, not accepting refusal upon escalating. Increase rapidly this divergence, the process or state of diversion, then we shall simply abstain, restrain oneself from doing or enjoying something, from soliciting, ask someone for something, information, facts provided or learned about something or someone, from your perspicacious selves, the qualities of a person's character. Should we prove incapable, unable to do or achieve something, of ascertaining, find something out for certain, make sure of, the perimeter, the continuous line forming the boundary of a closed geometric figure, then, perforce, by necessity, we shall dedicate ourselves, commit oneself to something, to the assiduous, showing great care and perseverance, study of all extent, still in existence, surviving, facets, one side of something many-sided. Indeed, precisely, used to emphasize the accuracy of a fact or statement. The triumvirate, a group of three men holding power, especially in ancient Rome, select in concert, a consciously coordinated activity. Mark my words. Pay attention to what I am about to tell you. The final act of levity and amusement shall be ours. Upon our pledged vow, a solemn promise, as those whom you deem of diminished intellect, the faculty of reasoning and understanding objectively, especially with regard to abstract or academic matters. 42. A numerical, relating to or expressed as a number. Denotation, the act of referring to or indicating something, of points, units of scoring. 30. A numerical, relating to or expressed as a number. Assignation, the allocation of something, of points, units of scoring. 31. A numerical, relating to or expressed as a number. Asseveration, a solemn or emphatic declaration or statement, of points, units of scoring. Through our tripartite, consisting of three parts or elements, compendium, a collection of concise but detailed information about a particular subject, especially in a book or other publication, of numerical, relating to or expressed as a number, values, the regard that something is held to merit, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something we achieve, successfully bring about or reach a desired objective or result, a grand, magnificent and imposing in appearance, size, or style, total. The whole amount of 103. A most jovial, cheerful and friendly expression of mirth, amusement, especially as expressed in laughter. The collective, done by people acting as a group, known, recognized, familiar, or understood, as the knuckleheads emerge, move out of or away from something and come into view, triumphant, having won a battle or contest, victorious. We are, indubitably, impossible to doubt, unquestionable, no longer to be defined, give the meaning of a word, phrase, or concept, as knuckleheads. Miss Osaka, a respectful term of address to female, I say. Miss Osaka, a respectful term of address to female, are you maintaining your well-being, health, condition? What, an expression denoting shock, surprise? What, an expression denoting shock, surprise? This, my dear, term of endearment, affectionate salutation, constitutes, represents, comprises, an escalator, a moving staircase device. In this manner, fashion, way, the onboarding, access, entry, shall be facilitated, made easy, simplified, am I not correct, factual, accurate? This constitutes, represents, comprises, an elevator, a lifting platform or cage device. an expression denoting momentary confusion. The confusion, perplexity, bewilderment, occasionally, sometimes, periodically, afflicts, bothers, troubles me. Elevator, a lifting platform or cage device, and escalator, a moving staircase device. Escalator, a moving staircase device, and elevator, a lifting platform or cage device. You comprehend, understand, apprehend? Oh, is that indeed correct, accurate, true? Fear not, do not worry, be not concerned. I possess complete knowledge, understanding, comprehension regarding the distinction, difference, variation between the two. Chiyo-chan, a casual, friendly diminutive address. Refrain, desist, abstain from subjecting me to ridicule, mockery, derision. Thus, the receptacle, container, compartment of cuboid, cube-shaped, boxy, configuration, form, arrangement, represents an escalator, a moving staircase device. However, under such circumstances, conditions, situations, the confusion, perplexity, bewilderment, overwhelms, engulfs, inundates me, and Let us confer, consult, deliberate, for a moment. Verily, truly, indeed, the receptacle, container, compartment of cuboid, cube-shaped, boxy, configuration, form, arrangement, constitutes an elevator, a lifting platform or cage device. Indeed, yes, truly, indeed, yes, truly, of that I am assured, certain, confident. Pray, what is the meaning of this query? What object has captured our mutual cognizance, the state of being aware? Behold, to perceive through visual sensation, a photograph, a captured still image, of a female member of the Homo sapiens gendered female. Indeed, in truth, she exudes beauty, the quality of being pleasing, especially to the sight. A veritable paragon of pulchritude, physical beauty, to whom does this individual's, a single human being, visage belong? She assumes the role of my lawfully wedded spouse, a legal union between two parties. Preposterous! Contrary to reason or common sense, utterly absurd or ridiculous. It seems improbable that one such as she would be. Am I to understand that this is a jest, a thing said or done for amusement, a joke, expressing hesitation or uncertainty? What precisely are the implications to which you allude, to suggest or call attention to indirectly hint at? Allow me to present, introduce, an additional photographic print, a picture, printed from a negative or transparent slide, including each member of our domestic unit, a social group, that shares living quarters. Therefore, for that reason, who fulfills the role, unexpected or required action, of a young maiden, a girl or young woman? She is my progeny, a descendant or the descendants of a person, specifically my daughter. She appears to possess a sharp and active intellect, the faculty of reasoning and understanding objectively, for one so juvenile. Therefore, subsequent to our arrival, this must assuredly embody the very essence of the United States of America, a sovereign nation. Salutations! We, as representatives of this nation, extend a most gracious welcome to our esteemed country. Salutations and welcome, we say. I find it exceedingly difficult, nay, bordering on the impossible, to fully accept and comprehend the sheer, unadulterated adorableness that emanates from these miniature, diminutive, and utterly precious Chiyo-chans, who are themselves tiny specimens of humanity. We shall, with utmost diligence, convey your accoutrements. Are you possessed of certainty regarding this proposition? I extend my profound gratitude to an immeasurable degree. Let us, forthwith, embark upon our peregrination. Let us proceed. In these present epochs, they possess, to own, to have as belonging to one, absolutely everything, all things, the entirety of existence. Therefore, consequently, ergo, I inquire, ask, pose a question, what comestible food, victuals, is most pleasing, agreeable, delightful, to your refined palate, Chiyo-chan? Perchance, possibly, maybe, the cartilaginous appendages, fins, of the Salachimorpha shark? They supply, furnish, steamed buns, a type of bread roll, filled, repleted, with shark fins, cartilaginous appendages of a shark. Allow me to observe, to look, to perceive. Ah, I find myself partial, inclined, biased, to spheroidal messes, meatballs, crafted from minced, finely ground meat. Henceforth, in an expression of dismay, we appear to have a juvenile, young, immature individual in our midst, among us. I am not a juvenile, youngling, child. You are indeed a juvenile, young person, veritably, truly, without a doubt, a diminutive, small, tiny, juvenile. Then, subsequently, in that case, what manner, type, kind of comestible food do you esteem, value, appreciate? H.M. Ah, I surmise, guess, suppose, bananas, a curved fruit, I presume. Good heavens, an expression of surprise, there exists, to be present, a person of diminished, lessened, reduced, intellectual capacity, moron, here. Why? Why do you articulate, express, speak, such an insinuation, suggestion, hint? Pray tell, what objective curious interest doth present itself to mine orbs? Could it be, perchance, a confection of sugary delight? Satay and daisy. A regional pastry, I dare say. Is it, in sooth, a saccharine drop, or a candied morsel, if you will? Verily, I must express my profoundest apologies, for we appear to have neglected a momentary lapse in attentiveness to procure such delectable treats for your esteemed selves. Satai and Daisy. The utterance persists. To what sum in legal tender did this indulgence amount? To what pecuniary value are we alluding with our queries? 100 yen, a trifling amount, indeed. Satai and Daisy. The incessant refrain continues. From whence did you acquire, procure, obtain this acquisition? From what fount of consumerism did you manage this procurement? Satai and Daisy. The incantation is unyielding, it appears. Oh, do cease this incessant prattle. Good heavens! My patience wanes. Cease your needless vociferations this instant. Satai and Daisy. The refrain remains. Infuriating. Thus, as I endeavored to convey, relate, articulate, previously, Satai and Daisy. Will this wretched noise ever cease? What, pray tell, is the essence of this object to which you point? Ah, indeed, this is. Satai and Daisy. It is always Satai and Daisy. Nay, it is assuredly not. Ah, Miss Osaka. A salutation indicating a young, unmarried lady, combined with a designation referring to her geographical extraction. You appear to have roused, to have stirred from a condition of repose or slumber, yourself from a state of dormancy. Indeed, verily. At present, the solitary individual persisting in a state of somnolence, a prolonged state of dormancy and inactivity, is Miss Yukari. Another salutation toward a young lady, complimented by a name. However, I harbor a premonition, an advanced apprehension or foreboding, that she shall be incensed, experiencing strong displeasure and umbrage. Therefore, I am simply incapable, lacking the requisite faculty or aptitude, of compelling myself to effectuate her awakening. Subsequently, following this juncture, permit, if you would be so kind, the allocation of this specific task to my jurisdiction. The authority and capacity to superintend the matter. Is that agreeable? It has been a deeply cherished aspiration, a fervent longing or ambition, of mine. I have harbored, for a considerable duration, the ambition, a strong desire or longing, to endeavor, to attempt or undertake, the arousal, the active awakening, of an individual through the instrumentality, the means or agency, of a frying pan, a culinary implement of a circular design. HM? Ah, pray tell. An archaic form of address employed to solicit information. It is you, Miss Osaka. You are the aforementioned young lady bearing that distinction. What? In what manner, may I inquire? You have, by your own volition, the exercise of free will, terminated your repose, awoken. Thus, as a consequence, my endeavor, attempt, has borne no fruit, has failed to achieve its intended outcome. Miss Osaka, a repeat of the aforementioned salutation, what on this terrestrial orb? An expression of astonishment. Are you presently conveying, transporting, about her personage? HMM? What, pray tell? Seeking clarification? I was gripping, holding firmly, a frying pan just a moment hence, but a short time previously. To what location has it absconded? Departed without leave? Ah, Miss Osaka. Reiterating the title, I beseech you, refrain from wielding, swinging, that implement in this particular orientation, direction. Are you cognizant, possessed of knowledge, of the events that have transpired at Chiyo-chan? A familiar honorific? Pray, desist, cease, from brandishing, swinging, it about. Ah, a bladed instrument, a weapon of a sharp nature, in aerial transit, flying. Tomo, a familiar appellation, a designation of endearment. What precisely, with exactitude, in a detailed manner, is the matter, the predicament, the exigency, at hand, within immediate consideration? Your ocular organs, your eyes, the visual sensory apparatus, present an aspect, an appearance, a semblance, strikingly devoid, completely lacking, barren, of vitality, animation, vivacity. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. The interlude, the temporary cessation, the brief respite, known as summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, recess, a break, a pause, shall, subsequent, following, succeeding, to today, the present diurnal period, the current 24-hour interval, recommence, begin again, resume its course. Let us, as a collective cohort, a group, an ensemble, proceed in unison, together, harmoniously, towards the azure, cerulean, blue, of a deep sky-like color, expanse, the sea, the ocean. The act of pulverizing, smashing, crushing watermelons, a large, spherical fruit, engaging, participating in beach, the sandy littoral zone, the shore, volleyball, a team sport, played on sand. Such activities, pastimes, recreations, shall prove exceedingly, extremely, exceptionally, pleasurable, enjoyable, delightful, creating an environment where departure, leaving, exiting, is unthinkable, unimaginable, inconceivable. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. This particular juncture, this current day, this specific temporal designation, signifies, denotes, represents, a summer, the warmest season, the period between spring and autumn, service, a provision, an offering, day, a diurnal period, a 24-hour interval. I implore you, to endeavor to procure, acquire, and secure a firm, unshakable, and steadfast grasp upon your very own comportment. Pray to regain mastery over your emotions and actions. Indeed, the subsequent, the latter, the second segment, half, or division of the academic specifically the scholastic term, doth commence this very day. Tomo, I beseech thee, earnestly, fervently, and with great importunity, to seize, clutch, clasp, and grapple with, and to gain absolute domination over, both your physical and emotional essence. Verily, this occasion, this specific juncture in time, is assuredly not, by any measure or estimation, a diurnal period allocated for the provision, rendering, and execution of voluntary aid during the season of summer. This particular diurnal period, as demarcated, defined, by the passage, progression, of time, finds itself intrinsically, inseparably, intertwined as a summer solstice charitable endeavor, a most altruistic undertaking. Indeed, this self-same, identical, diurnal, daily round, which constitutes, forms, an instance, occurrence, of the summer solstice philanthropic gesture, is hereby, by means of this present action, reiterated for further emphasis. Verily, in truth, we find ourselves, our corporal selves, even at this juncture, critical point, circumstanced, placed amidst, in between, the very apogee, apex, of the style, summary, interlude, pause, a phenomenon, occurrence, which I trust, believe, you are decidedly, unquestionably, cognizant, aware of. Therefore, permit, allow us, in unison, together, to peregrinate towards, travel to, the cerulean, sky blue, profoundly, deeply, azurian, blue, expanse, area of the marine environment, sea. The demolition, violent destruction, the bludgeoning, hitting of Citrullus lanitus, watermelon, beach volleyball, a sport, played on the beach. Such activities, things that are done, cannot assist but be highly pleasurable, enjoyable. Pray tell, please tell, whilst an archaic form of would, thou, an archaic form of you, deign, condescend, to accompany, go with, I, an archaic form of me? Upon this juncture, within the chronological confines of the diurnal cycle, we find ourselves immersed, nay, ensconced, within a seasonal, estival, diurnal period, dedicated to benevolent ministration. Lo, I say again, upon this selfsome juncture, within the identical chronological confines of the diurnal cycle, we once more find ourselves immersed, nay, I dare to proclaim, that we are thoroughly ensconced within a seasonal, estival, diurnal period, consecrated and committed to deeds of benevolent ministration. Once more, I must reiterate the aforementioned point, upon this juncture, within the constraints of the selfsome chronological confines of the diurnal cycle, we are yet situated, immersed, or better stated, ensconced within a seasonal and most esteemed estival diurnal period that has been explicitly dedicated to the acts of benevolent ministration. Nay, you are in grievous and profoundly incorrect error. Chiyo-chan, diminutive form of address, used in affectionate parlance, I entreat thee most earnestly, to bestow, endue or perhaps precipitate upon our humble assembly a potent incantation, designed and most assuredly destined to galvanize, invigorate, and stimulate a surfeit of motivation, that most elusive quarry. Go. Could one possibly, even conceivably, precipitate a charm? Heavens to Betsy. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Inspiration, 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 inspiration. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Good heavens! Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Procure, or rather, acquire, a sense of inspired incentive. Oh, dear me, oh, dear me, oh, dear me. Nay, nay, Chiyo-chan, a diminutive appellation denoting endearment. Permit me, your humble instructor, to elucidate, to demonstrate with utmost clarity the precise methodology by which this task is most optimally executed. A motivational percussive encouragement, a sharp strike, intended to galvanize action. Ah, an interjection signifying surprise or, potentially, alarm. Oh, an expression of concern, coupled with an inquiry into your current state of well-being. Specifically, are you unharmed, unimpaired, in a satisfactory condition? Greetings, esteemed individuals, or rather, everyman, a Japanese-derived affectation employed to denote feline aficionados. Might I inquire as to your current state of being? I am, in response to a query that was perhaps more rhetorical than substantive. Quite well, I extend my gratitude. Heavens to Betsy, an expression of astonishment rooted in colloquial parlance. I find myself consumed by a profound yearning to metamorphose into an Hawaiian creature, a feathered denizen of the troposphere. Pray tell, what is the underlying rationale for your utilization of the English vernacular, a linguistic system originating from the British Isles? My progeny, specifically a female offspring, is poised to embark on a sojourn to the United States of America, a sovereign nation situated in North America. Conjecturing hypothetically, were you, indeed, a member of the Aves class, a taxonomic classification encompassing feathered, winged creatures? I must assert, unequivocally, that I am not an Hawaiian entity. Is it beyond the scope of your perceptive capabilities to discern that I am, in fact, a feline quadruped, a member of the species Felis catus? Were that not the case, what alternative designation might you ascribe to my personage? Pray, tarry a moment, an epiphany has graced my intellect. Your visage bears a resemblance to that American gentleman, namely William Jefferson Clinton, a former president of that celebrated republic. Oh, dear me, I extend my sincerest apologies for the preceding faux pas, a breach of etiquette of considerable magnitude. Are you, perchance, the authentic feline, the veritable embodiment of Katniss? I possess a gustatory aversion to elevated thermal gradients, an affliction commonly termed a cat's tongue. But might one inquire as to your own predilections, O feline of elevated status? Eureka! I find myself in possession of a similar affliction, a cat's tongue, as well. Then I shall, with expeditious alacrity, extract that lingual appendage directly from your cranial vault, that most delicate of regions. What? I implore you to elucidate the underlying motivation for such aggressive verbalization. Ah, Miss Osaka, a salutation denoting a female of notable, perhaps even celebrated, stature from the illustrious locale of Osaka. I bid you a good morrow, a somewhat archaic, yet undeniably refined, appellation for the commencement of the diurnal cycle. What accoutrements, pray tell? A rhetorical query soliciting information regarding the objects within your grasp. Do you have presently in your possession? Are those, perchance, disposable cloths, thin sheets of soft paper, meticulously crafted for the purpose of ablution, particularly the delicate act of nasal secretion removal? Commonly known as tissues, from the Old French word, tissue, meaning woven. Precisely, nay, those are not merely commonplace, typical tissues, unremarkable examples of such paper-based ephemera. On the contrary, these particular specimens are demonstrably of the uppermost echelon, exhibiting a level of refined quality that speaks of elevated social standing and exquisite taste, thus representing, without undue embellishment, an actuality that transcends the mundane, existing then, beyond the quotidian. I comprehend, I perceive, I grasp the essence of your situation. Therefore, might you illuminate me with reasoning the deeply explored, complex purpose for which you happen to be an ostensible custodianship of said items? I shall, by my volition, uncover, expose to plain view, disclose, and impart the enigmatic and heretofore veiled truth residing beneath the classified understanding. And thus, and ergo, and whence, there indeed you have it. Heavens to Murgatroyd! Oh, the surprise, the astonishment! You are afflicted by the allergenic condition commonly known as hay fever, a seasonal malady characterized by nasal congestion, ocular irritation, and paroxysmal sneezing, an excessive reaction to pollen grains that vex the common folk. Verily, that is indeed the case. I am experiencing the aforementioned hay fever in all its terrible and bothersome glory. Yet fear not, for I am adequately equipped. One might even go so far, hyperbolically, as to proffer that I am protected, safeguarded, shielded from the worst excesses of this condition, such as it may be, even should it endeavor to harm me. I am moreover, also, further supplied, in addition to the tissues, with ophthalmic emollients, therapeutic liquids, dispensed in metered volumes for installation into the conjunctival sac. Nonetheless, albeit, notwithstanding, I freely confess to being among that peculiar subset of individuals who find it exceedingly problematic, indeed virtually untenable, to administer said ophthalmic solutions unless positioned in a recumbent posture, that is to say supine, in a prone declination, or in the general act of simply laying down. So, then, to be transparently inquisitive, what exact action are you performing at this precise moment in our interactions? Miss Osaka is presently enacting the application of aforesaid ophthalmic solutions into the surface of the eye, the delicate orb of sight, an action worthy of comment. Ocular emollients, is it? HMMM. I comprehend. Now it is made understood to me. The reason being, it is indeed, factually, the aforementioned malady, the scourge of seasonal allergens, the hay fever. At you. Huh? I say? Huh? Was that, perchance, a pronounced, convulsive expulsion of air through the nasal and oral passages, otherwise known as a sneeze? Ha ha ha! That paroxysm, that spasm, that uncontrolled display of bodily process was, in actuality, extremely humorous. Incredibly, extraordinarily even, quite grand. I'm being quite serious with that proclamation of humor, you may find. What are you presently inferring? Absolutely, irrefutably, positively, veritably, and without the merest figment of a doubt, there exists but a scintilla, a matter, a modicum, a soupçon of amusement or delectation residing in the unfortunate act. Nothing, in truth, nothing great at all. At you. This so-called hay fever epidemic is somehow, seemingly, looking rather exceptionally fun indeed. Nay, madam, I implore you. Nothing could be further from a more veracious reality, a more apt portrayal, a more accurate depiction. Such is by no means it.